students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this particular video, we are going to discuss about the significance of Axiom-4 space mission, which is a joint collaborative mission of ISRO and NASA. And for the first time, an Indian astronaut is going on this particular mission as such. So let us try to understand what is the significance of this particular space mission. Now, to give you the brief context and background of this particular issue, today, Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla is going to International Space Station on the Axiom-4 mission. This particular mission has heralded a new beginning and we can say a new era in the Indian space program as such. It is for the first time NASA and ISRO, NASA from US, we know that National Space and Space Administration, and we have ISRO, that is Indian Space Research Organization. So both these organizations have collaborated, and this was also underlined by the meeting that took place between President Trump of US and Narendra Modi of India, that they want astronauts from both countries to go together on the International Space Station. So Axiom-4 mission is closely integrated with our own space plans and will provide some critical inputs. As we know that ISRO is also planning to launch Gaganyaan mission, where it's trying to send a manned space flight to the space, and other missions that will follow. For example, moon landing mission that also ISRO has planned in the later part of this century as such. Now, as far as this particular mission first of all is concerned, the mission, as we have discussed, is a collaborative effort between NASA and ISRO, and it is a fourth private astronaut flight that will take place from the Axiom space and the first to carry an Indian astronaut to the International Space Station. So this is a very, very important point we have to understand as such. Before, if we try to understand, it will lift off from the Complex 39A situated in the NASA's Kennedy Space Center, the image that you can see from here. So today evening, we talk about Indian Standard Time, it is 5:52 p.m. is when the launch pad, basically you can say the space flight will take off, and after they dock with the International Space Station, which we can equate with, or we can say that it is kind of a space observatory, there astronauts will spend 2 weeks, roughly 14 days, and during this 14 days stay there, they will involve themselves in various types of programs, scientific research related to science, education and commercial activities as well. So a very, very significant event we can say as far as India's space history and program is concerned. Now we know that before this particular program or this particular mission, the only Indian astronaut to have been in the space was Major Rakesh Sharma. He went with the help of a Soviet space program or cosmonaut program, we can say. But there is a huge difference between that program and this one, because if talk about Axiom-4 program, this is linked with the ISRO's future plans, and the time when Rakesh Sharma went to the space, we can say, and we can understand that India's space activities, space research program were in very, very nascent stage. We did not have a clear-cut timeline and objective that what we are trying to or going to achieve in the future, and that is why his flight to space was a very significant one, but still it remained a kind of a stand-alone event, a stand-alone activity as such. Now, if you try to understand about Axiom-4, it is taking place in those times when ISRO has proved its credibility and its effectiveness in the overall global space campaign, global space program, by launching several successful missions, and one most notable being the Chandrayaan, where it has been able to land unmanned vehicle and was able to take up a lot of data, important data from the moon's surface as such. So this is how we have to understand the difference between the Rakesh Sharma's flight to the space and the current flight that we have in Axiom-4. Now, as far as this particular Axiom-4 space flight is concerned, it has a huge importance. The first importance we can underline is that not only it is having a importance and significance from symbolic and inspirational point of view, but also it will have practical uses for ISRO's future plan as well. We know that ISRO in the intervening years has emerged as one of the leading space agencies of the world with the ability to execute very complex missions. And for example, the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle (PSLV) that we have has been designated as a workhorse of the ISRO, and not only India and Indian companies, but also many foreign companies have used PSLV to launch their satellites, microsatellites around the Earth's orbit as such. So that is how you understand that you talk about the top 5 space agencies across the world today. Obviously, ISRO's name will come in that list. Now, in the next phase of space research, ISRO has envisioned to send a human space flight in the space, and for that preparation is already underway. 4 different astronauts were there who have been trained in Russia, and one of those astronauts is who is going on the current Axiom-4 program as well. So if you talk about Shukla's experience and learning, which he will get as a pilot of this Axiom-4 program, will have a huge significance, and it will boost up the what you can call as the productivity and efficiency of the Gaganyaan program as well. Now, if we try to understand significance for Gaganyaan, we know that obviously before launching any manned flight, there is a lot of rigorous training that astronauts have to go through. But we have to understand that no matter what kind of training you do in the simulator, it is no match with the real life exposure. And thus, by this particular Axiom-4 missions, we can understand that Shukla will be able to bring real life exposure that can be utilized in the Gaganyaan as such. He will be not just flying like a tourist, or will not be just flying like an engineer, but he is the pilot of the Axiom-4 mission. And though we know that most of the space flight today is automated, but the role of pilot cannot be underlined, role of pilot cannot be, what you can say is, cannot be ignored, and thus he will learn a lot and gain in many ways during this particular mission as such. A spacecraft has to follow a complicated orbit to reach the ISS, and that is where a pilot has to make a lot of complex decisions, will have to navigate a lot of new challenges that you generally face when you are actually actually flying a spacecraft as such, and especially because it is a moving target in space. So all these experiences and real life exposure that he will get, again, when he will be a part of Gaganyaan program, it will add significant value and also will reduce any chances of error and will increase the chances of success of any manned space program. And this is very, very significant, because even if you're saying is sending an unmanned spacecraft in the space, even in the case of failure, you do not have to risk, or there is no risk to the life as such, but any manned flight always obviously carries risk to the life of people who are inside it. So better we are prepared, more chances of minimizing those risks will be. So that is how we can understand and underline the significance of this program as such. Now it will also help future astronaut, because we have discussed real life experiences will be brought by Shukla. Right now we only have Rakesh Sharma with this experience, and the technologies however during his time were very, very different, and that is why we were not able to fully capitalize and utilize his experience and were not able to integrate in our future space program. But that would not be the case in this particular scenario, where we will be able to help and will be able to basically integrate the experiences gained by Shubhanshu Shukla on the future programs as well. Now, countries that have a human space flight program benefit a great deal from astronauts transferring their knowledge and experience to the next generation. This we have seen in the case of NASA, this we have seen in the case of Roscosmos, that is this space agency of Russia. This we have seen in the case of European space agencies as well. So similar kind of expectation we have from the ISRO also. And this is also an opportunity to see how the ISS functions and operate, because after launching a manned flight in the space, ISRO also is planning to have its own space laboratory and observatory orbiting the Earth. So there also, by learning the functioning and the operation of ISS, it can prove a significant, or it can add a significant value to this particular program also as well. Now we know that in the 14 weeks of stay that astronauts will have there, they will have a lot of significant experiment. They will be part of, for example, the experiments specifically that has been designed by ISRO is directly feeding into ISRO's own future needs and projects as such. Now, some of the most significant experiments that the astronauts will participate in is understanding the impact of microgravity radiation in ISS on edible microalgae, also sprouting salad seeds in space, because if you are sending a manned mission, you have to take care of the nutrition needs of these people. So how it can be relevant to the nutrition of crew, because you know that salad is something that can be consumed by the people there, and if you are able to grow this in microgravity in the outer space, then it can be a revolutionary step as such. Not only that, also, effect of metabolic supplements on the muscle regeneration under microgravity has to be studied. For example, if we try to understand that as far as the muscle growth, generation and degeneration is concerned on the Earth, it is driven by two factors. One is the natural factor and second is the Earth's gravity. So, in the outer space, in the ISS, where the gravity is around zero, in the zero gravity situation, the only thing that you can look at is how muscle regeneration and degeneration happens due to the natural factors as such. So we will be able to discount the Earth's gravity and will have a much better idea about this particular aspect of human health as well. Analyzing human interaction with electronic displays in the microgravity is another area of research, and then comparative growth and proteomics responses of cyanobacteria on urea and nitrate in microgravity. So as we can see, The experiments have designed across different spheres related to the health of the people, related to the nutrition, related to the biology, related to the development and understanding of microorganisms as such. So this will also have a huge benefit not only for ISRO but also for the studies of different other spheres of field as well. Now we know that ISRO also is planning to have a moon landing by year 2040, and Shukla's flight is the beginning of a series of steps that is required that can lead us to the moon landing as such. An important prerequisite for that is the creation of a strong ecosystem of space activities that would also involve the participation of private sector. So as Indian astronauts began to take space flight more regularly, it will also increase the public-private cooperation. It will also increase the private sector participation. The Axiom mission itself is a best example of public-private cooperation. We are seeing two government control agencies such as NASA and ISRO collaborating with SpaceX, which is a private entity, and Axiom, which is also a private entity. So there are two government agencies, two private agencies. So such kind of cooperation will be required in the future, because you know that a space program or any space endeavor is a costly endeavor, and thus sector can benefit a great deal from the private sector participation as such. So this is also significance that we can highlight here. Now also ISRO is trying to ramp up its presence. It is trying to increase its foothold in the space program, global space program, because again if you look at the global space market, today it is valued at about $500 billion, which is expected to double to almost $1 trillion by the end of year 2030. Now, even in this $500 billion market that we have today across the world, if you look at the share of ISRO, though ISRO has made a name for itself across the world, its share is just 2% of this market. And ISRO has ambition of increasing the share to at least 10% in the coming year. And this cannot be done by ISRO alone. There is a great requirement of public-private participation, which this program also can give boost to. Not only that, we also have to understand that when we are trying to build an ecosystem of a space program, we are trying to build an ecosystem of trained astronaut, there is need to have an inspiration, and nothing can inspire more a person, a student, a child than the actual person or a person from that particular country going into the space as such. So many people got inspired from Rakesh Sharma as well, but unfortunately that time we did not have ecosystem. But today, if inspiration is taken by students and they began to join studies of the space, studies of the what you can call as we have institute also such as IIST. So obviously that will increase the participation of India in the future space program, will increase overall what you can call as participation of ISRO in the overall global space program and global space economic assets. So that is what we are trying to achieve by this particular mission, and that is how we can underline the significance of Axiom-4 mission as such. That is all about this particular video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more sustainable content. Thank you very much.